And I think we don't talk about it enough. And I think that it's something, whether we like it or not, we do need to start having the conversations in our community. So I'll share my slides, but I want it to be a conversation. It's not a lecture. And just jump in anytime if you want to ask a question or a comment, and let's make it as interactive as we can, just so that we can all learn. We're all learning from each other. So am I good, Dr. Ayo? Okay. Okay, so as Dr. Ayo kindly introduced me, my name is Amonia Gasper. I trained in Nigeria, worked in Nigeria for a little bit, and I've been a doctor for over 30 years and a GP for over 20. And we're just going to look at dementia and brain health. So when we speak about dementia, we often use the term interchangeably with Alzheimer's. And the reason is that Alzheimer's is the commonest form of dementia. All dementia is not Alzheimer's. It's an umbrella term. If you think about cancer, for example, you've got cancer in lots of different parts of the body. If you think about a fever, you've got lots of different causes for having a fever. Likewise, dementia, it's an umbrella term, not a single disease. We often think of dementia in terms of just elderly, but we also have childhood dementia. We have it across the life course. But for the purpose of this, we're going to kind of focus on adult dementia. And Alzheimer's is the commonest form, so we'll mention that. But I've highlighted in red, vascular dementia is something that is particularly relevant to our community, being the African and Caribbean community. And Lewy body dementia, frontotemporal dementia, mixed dementia, which is most common, are also important forms of dementia, but we have up to 200 different types of dementia. Most of what we call Alzheimer's dementia, when we look at it pathophysiologically, is actually a mixed dementia. There's rarely one type of dementia happening at the same time. So what we'll cover today, our journey this morning, we've mentioned what dementia is and understanding the different type. I'll mention Jess's rule along the way and why it's a issue in our Black community. And the most important document that we have right now, the Lancet Commission from 2024, knowing the signs, is it normal aging or is it something we should be concerned about? How we can get help, and this is applying to the UK, and how we can provide care without disappearing as caregivers. The science is really advanced, so I'll just briefly mention and what you can do today, which I think is the most important thing regarding prevention, action, and where to go. So this is our story in the UK right now, and 2 times more likely to develop dementia than white adults. And all of this, there's peer-reviewed papers confirming all of this. Later diagnosed later, where symptoms are already advanced. And sorry, I'm trying to minimize. This is blocking my screen. Just 1 second. Yeah, that's better. And then we get much less post-diagnosis support and follow-up care. And this shouldn't be the case. I'll mention a case that I saw last week and what happened. And I thought, why can't this happen for all of us? So why we don't talk about it, we always find a name for, instead of admitting that there might be a problem going on. Oh, she's just getting old, he's getting on now. And then there's the spiritual aspect. And of course, our love language is keep it in the family. There's shame, there's pride, there's loyalty. We want to protect our loved ones. We don't want to take them out anymore. And for good reasons, we haven't trusted the system that we're in here and now. But things are changing, and it's up to us to carry out that change. But most importantly, we didn't know our risk: hypertension, diabetes, cholesterol. Nobody joined those dots for us, because why would they, frankly? I think this is most important. The Lancet Commission on Dementia Prevention, Intervention and Care, the 2024 report. And this is especially relevant because it highlights what I always say, that dementia is not a disease of old age. By the time people are presenting with symptoms that is eventually diagnosed as dementia, this problems that are happening in the brain have started from at least 20 years preceding that diagnosis. And early life experiences, low education, adverse childhood experiences all contribute to a rising risk of dementia in later years. But the critical window where we need to act is in midlife, between 19 and 65. Not when you're 50, not when you're 40. Hearing loss, getting your hearing checked, checking, doing regular bloods. Most people would do the physical examination, but not necessarily getting an eye test regularly or getting a hearing test regularly. And all those things are important. And this is the time that it's important to change the trajectory if we go on to develop dementia or not, or if it just stays as mild cognitive impairment, MCI, which is something that you can live very well with till advanced age. And then in later life, social isolation is very, very important, especially in our community in the UK. It's less important like on the continent or on the islands, because everybody is always in everybody's home and in everybody's space. Air pollution is extremely important, and vision loss. The STARS parameters were new additions in the 2024 report, but we now know that correcting hearing loss is the most important factor that helps prevent dementia. On this slide, I'd also like to mention about genetics, because across all of it, genetics plays a part. There's the ApoE4 gene, which is a risk for developing dementia. But ApoE4 loads the gun, but it doesn't pull the trigger. It's everything that's happening around midlife that pulls the trigger if you have this gene. And we know that Black, African, and Caribbean people carry this gene more than white Caucasians. And then knowing the signs, aging versus warning signs. If you forget where you put your keys, I forget every day the number of times I've had to get my household. I can't find even my glasses. I can't find my glasses. But not knowing what your keys are used for, then that is something that should be flagged. If it's taking longer to learn something new as we get older, that is normal. But when we forget what we had for breakfast and are absolutely insistent that we haven't had breakfast, that is a concern. Occasionally searching for a word, and all of these happen with normal aging, but more importantly, if we're tired or not getting enough sleep or stressed, then all those parameters of normal aging seem more magnified. But the warning signs is when you're actually forgetting conversations and events and adamant that it hasn't happened at all, or getting lost in familiar places where you've driven on a road for the last 30 years, it's where you live, and all of a sudden you don't recognize it anymore, or confusion about the time, the day, or the season. But more importantly, personality or behavior changes. And that's the bit that we tend to want to protect our loved ones instead of admitting that they may be a problem. And until you get it checked, it's difficult to actually state that it is a problem or it's something else going on. So difficulty, one of the first symptoms that we find with a dementia illness is managing money and making careless or what seems like careless decisions or risky financial transactions. That is a red flag that should always be checked. For you to get help, you first and foremost start with your GP, always, always in the UK. Write down what you've noticed or what you've noticed about your loved ones and for how long. ask for a memory assessment or memory clinic referral. Your GP will do a full workup and make sure that there's other parameters that may be contributing to what appears to be like dementia. Routine blood tests may highlight things like vitamin B12 deficiency, which, if corrected, kind of reverses all the symptoms that you may be having, anemia, thyroid dysfunction, but your GP knows what to do. And this should always, always be your first port of call. And then you have a right to push back. If you feel dismissed, ask for another appointment, another GP if you wish, or request a referral. Take someone with you to advocate with you. And this is where I speak about Jess's rule. Jessica was unfortunately a young lady who had presented to her GP several times with symptoms, and eventually it turned out to be cancer, which was missed, and sadly she died. So her parents and her family took it up, and the NHS has adopted it. So this is something that's good for not just clinicians, but also for you, loved ones, and it's an advocacy tool. You have the right to push back. The memory clinic is not a scary location in any shape or form. They will do all the other tests. They may or may not do a scan, but a full assessment is needed. And if it's not to the memory clinic, it might be to neurology, just to say that something is not quite right. We don't know what it is. But typically our community present in crisis, which is very clear clinically what is already going on. But a diagnosis opens the door to support planning and treatment. And this brings me to a patient I saw literally 8 days ago, an Irish lady. I'll call her Lily. She was 82 and she came in with her son and her daughter, and we had a chat, and Lily was insistent that she was fine and there was nothing wrong. Her daughter was tearful, her adult daughter was tearful, because we could all see that there was certainly something wrong. All the referrals were done on after the Friday clinic. I spoke to Lily's daughter yesterday. She had had a mental health assessment. She had had the home treatment team in. Everything, all the services were being put in place, and she was getting the appropriate support. But if you don't present, if you don't accept and you don't present, then we don't have the opportunity to support or to plan or to do any necessary treatments that we may be able to. And after diagnosis, we have Black Admiral nurses who specifically support. You can see any Admiral nurse, but Black Admiral nurses support Black families, especially. They understand peculiar circumstances, and they've got more time than we have. You don't have to do this alone. You don't have to work this journey alone. I've already mentioned Jess's rule, but just to emphasize again, Jess's rule is if a patient presents 3 times with the same symptoms or concerns, especially if the symptoms are, they persist, escalate, or remain unexplained, it's 3 strikes and we rethink. And you're allowed to present this to your own GP and say to them, can you apply Jess's rule, please? And it kind of forces the situation if, for example, you feel unheard or unseen. So looking at caregivers and how you can provide care without disappearing. Of all the caregiving professions, caring for somebody with dementia is the hardest of all of them. And caring for a spouse is even harder than caring for a sibling or a loved one generally. But for our communities, we pour and pour and pour. And most of the time we don't, when I did my research, we don't consider ourselves carers. We think ourselves, but she's my mom, I'm her daughter, that's what I'm supposed to do. Yes, you might be supposed to do that, but you are a caregiver. But until you name it, you're not going to be able to access the services that are available for caregivers. You have to name what you're carrying. Caregiver grief is real. There's anticipatory grief. You're mourning the loss of your mother or your loved one that you know, while they're still alive. And you are allowed to grieve while you're still loving them. Guilt is not a strategy. Rest is not abandonment. It is survival. But most importantly, every day we're signing forms for all the entitlements that you can get as a caregiver. But people from my community typically, because we don't admit that we're caregivers, we don't access most of what is available out there for us. And I'd just like to highlight Nyakoma, which is online forum for that myself and a friend of mine provide for caregivers of people living with dementia. Just a safe space where you can talk about your experiences, where you can vent as much as you want, and entirely confidential. So you don't have to carry this alone at all. So what you can do today, I hope Khan sometime will give us the opportunity to speak about vascular dementia, especially because that is the dementia that is ravaging our community the most. And it's really all about blood vessel damage and the endothelial lining of the blood vessels. And the most important thing for us to prevent this is controlling our blood pressure. Everything that happens, diabetes, pre-diabetes, anything else that is going on, the final pathway is controlling our blood pressure and obviously our blood sugar. We need to move our body. A daily walk counts, staying socially connected. I think we're quite good at that. But sleep is also a very big thing that I find that most people don't pay enough attention to. And it's so important because that is when the cleaning team of the brain, the glymphatic system, that is when it's operational. You cannot, the brain doesn't get a clean or a rest while you're awake. So if you're not sleeping, that is something to be looked at, especially. We need to challenge our mind, keep learning, keep creating, keep discussing. Alcohol may be a social event, but minimize it as much as possible. And when it comes to smoking, because it reduces the amount of oxygen the brain gets, we just need to stop that completely. We don't understand how much stress, chronic stress affects us, but it matters. And there is research, new research, that it matters more than we admit. Where to go for help? Your GP is your first port of call. And there's several societies out there that also help with getting help and getting support and information. Alzheimer's Society, I'll highlight because you don't have to have a diagnosis of dementia for them to support, or your loved one doesn't have to have a diagnosis. If they're even presenting with symptoms that you're a little bit suspicious about, you can call them or you can go on their website and get information and support. So what we see in clinic is not just anecdotal. There is research that confirms it. And I think these statistics are just very sad. There's nothing else to say about it. And I'll just give you a second to go through it. And this is what we're trying to come out of as much as we can. So where the science is now, this is the fastest moving decade in dementia research, and we know it's the scourge of the 21st century and the biggest killer in the UK as we speak. There are new treatments, lecanemab and donanemab, and they're the first drugs ever that's proven to slow Alzheimer's progression. We may have Alzheimer, but a lot of the time, what we have in our community is a mixed dementia or vascular dementia. Lecanemab and donanemab is licensed in the UK, but it's not yet on the NHS unless you're looking in the private sector. NICE has said the costs are too high, but the appeal is ongoing. And how it works is that it clears the protein deposits in the brain that literally turn the brain to mush. but it's given by infusion and it's got some quite serious side effects. But more importantly, it's only effective in the early stages of Alzheimer's disease only. So there's no point trying to say you want these biologics, lecanemab or donanemab, if it's a vascular dementia. And this is why early diagnosis is very important. There's over 100 drugs in clinical trial globally, but as you would imagine, dementia research is going very slowly. But in the US now, the FDA has approved the Lumipulse blood test, which is especially effective at detecting these proteins that clog up the brain in Alzheimer's disease. It's much simpler and it's much cheaper than having a PET scan or a lumbar puncture, but we don't have it yet in the UK. Very soon, I'm sure it'll be here. We've got the blood biomarkers, but all of this, we're underrepresented in clinical trials and therefore in any treatments. And that's what we're pushing for us to be included. But we need myself, yourself, all of us to accept and be involved in clinical trials so we can close this equity gap as much as possible and at least be able to be available for new treatments if we're diagnosed at an early stage. So prevention is the proof, as they say in the pudding. And the landmark finger trial study is multi-structured lifestyle intervention. You might find your GP is inviting you to check your bloods, how much diet and exercise and cognitive training that you're doing. It's all to take advantage of what the results of the finger trial has shown us. And remember, I said that midlife is the window. So it's not too late now to make changes to your general lifestyle to try to prevent that gun that is already loaded, because we're Black people, African and Caribbean, and we're disadvantaged in this community that's we've decided to call home, but we can prevent the symptoms before dementia actually appears. And there's new research, like I said, that chronic stress matters. And this links to psychological stress, including racial trauma. So trying to fight for our rights in terms of race is also protecting our brains and profound implications for us long term. And I mentioned Lumipulse, but I think this is very exciting research that's coming on now. It's a simple blood test and it measures the amount of protein that's clogging up the brain. How accurate is it? Very accurate. But if we wait until we already have symptoms, then you already have the answer. No blood test is going to tell you anything different than you already may know or seeing in front of you every day. Otherwise, PET scans or lumbar punctures, to be very frank, very few people I see. It's mostly in the research centers that they tend to do this. But because we tend to present late, the symptoms are already clinically speak for themselves. And who is Lumipulse for? Any adult over the age of 50 with any early memory or thinking problems, but it's not for general screening. And these are just some references if you want to pay attention to that. Um, so I think, my main points is we have to start learning to prevent. We have to look at it across the life course, not when we're 50 or 60 or 70. It is a justice issue, and justice begins with us showing up for each other and for ourselves, most importantly. We should diagnose early with equity, but no clinician is going to come to our homes. We have to present ourselves to be able to be diagnosed. And we should dare to live. We should never stop living well. Our community are so focused on productivity that sometimes I feel that we forget to live. Thank you very much. And any questions are very welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gasper. That was very, very, very informative. I was making notes. You don't understand. You were just dropping nuggets every 2 seconds. Nuggets, 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 nuggets. It was very, very informative. Thank you so much. And we'll get to the questions, but we have a unique opportunity today to speak to somebody with lived experience. So if we can get Ronald on the screen, so we have a gentleman here who has bravely um, been accepted our invitation to share his lived experience with dementia. His name is Ronald Amans. Ronald, we can see you. Ronald is a poet, and he's going to take an opportunity to share with us some of his work. Thank you very much, Ronald. Please take it away.
Um, First of all, I don't know why I keep apologizing for myself, but I'm definitely out of my depths in this arena now. That was one of the most amazing and beautiful presentations I've ever heard before. Um, it was absolutely outstanding and exceptional. I've had I've had two strokes. I have a blocked left vertebral artery, which the doctor will know, which initially interrupted the oxygen to my brain, and I also live with a brain injury. And after the brain injury, I was going to a center for 4 years for someone who had a brain injury. So I was going through that process of being cared for. And while I was going through the experience of a brain injury, I started to have other symptoms. And after lots of checks and blood tests and MRI scans, they concluded that I've got early onset of dementia. And and I find it amazing how throughout all that time, I was from I had the brain injury, I was literally, for my opinion, discouraged from life, dis- discouraged from living with purpose, and encouraged to be reliant on medication. And anytime I tried to push back, I was considered a problem. I went through many battles with my local council and support providers, many battles, um, which totally destroyed me even more in many ways. But funny enough, it made me more determined and stronger. And even though I went through these battles with my social services, my social workers, I had 14 social workers. Even when I went through these battles, I continued to live with purpose. Unfortunately, I had some amazing, beautiful people in my life also that supported me and encouraged me to to or gave me that energy, or no, that's gave kept me alive. And one day, even though in between giving up, I was still fighting. One day, I was invited to an event in some place far, and when I went to this event, I saw all these amazing people. By that time, I'd been diagnosed with dementia, with young onset of dementia. And when I went to this place, I saw all these amazing people living with dementia, working on the national stage, speaking at parliament situations, and doing all these amazing things in their life. And I was shocked because there was nobody of my heritage there. And I was also shocked because these people were living with dementia, but they were living with purpose and joy and not facing the same challenges that I was facing back in London. So I came back almost renewed with a new determination to 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 really be an activist, so to speak, in terms of championing dementia awareness. My mother had dementia, At no time did I didn't even know the meaning of the word dementia back then. And we were led to believe she was just getting old. I now know she wasn't just getting old. She had been missed on the radar of need. And I, and what I sorry, I'm rambling on now, so I'm gonna bring it to a close because that doctor who just spoke, she's amazing. Honestly, if I went to my doctor and my doctor spoke to me about another health issues that I had. 'Cause I've had two prostate operations. Yes, not cancer. Um, I'm nearly 70. I'll be 70 this year. Um, every day I feel like Superman, I must say that also, or I'm filled with joy. But I'm also constantly on the battlefield with local council services who seem relentless or stubbornly committed to disempowering me and wanting me to be compliant. If you look at my social care plan, it says Ronald is non-compliant. And I'm losing where I'm taking this now, but I found after a while, I found the only way I could address with the stresses and the the lack of being able to communicate with mainstream services, I started to write my thoughts down and my feelings down. And then when people saw what I was writing, they started to refer it as they started to say that I'm a poet and I'm amazing. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not. I'm just like I'm I'm just like for me it was normal anyhow because I came from a background of being a record producer and being in the music industry. So I was a kind of creative already. But I started to write instead of when because it's so easy, if you speak up for yourself, you get in my world, you get considered a problem. And even more so, if you speak up for yourself and someone of my cultural heritage, yes, you become a serious problem and they start questioning your capacity. I currently am a trustee for an organization called Arts for Dementia. Arts for Dementia. Very well placed charity. I'm also a trustee for a charity in Scotland called Deepness Dementia Radio. And yet, they question my capacity to speak up for myself and to live with purpose and to have aspirations to be enterprising still. Um, and I tell people all the time, I'm in crisis. I know I'm in crisis at the moment because of what's going on with me in my local council, not complaining, because I know people are in crisis every day and they're not as fortunate as I am. I'm still spoilt. I've still got a lot of beautiful things going in my life. Um, but I communicate my feelings in by writing poetry. So let me not ramble on anymore because I'll speak forever. Um, but it's so easy to be missed on the radar of inclusion and need when you go to doctors because as I said when I went to my doctor he said I was missing my appointments and then he said what do you expect me to do, you've got that thing going on up there. That was I was talking about my prostate issues and something else and getting confused and missing my appointments. And he said, what do you expect me to do, Ronald? You got that thing going on up there. And I'm thinking, like, what do you mean by that thing? It's just the way they communicate with you and they talk to you can be so disorientating. Um, and the more I encounter these situations, the more I know it's important to speak up for ourselves. It's
Yes, it
so
is.
important to speak up to get out of ourselves, even if it's just through picking up a pen and getting that release that can come from breathing. Um, in a different getting it out of yourself. So I get it out of me by writing,
Yeah.
and subsequently now people pay me to speak places. I'm not kidding you. I mean, they pay me expenses, right?
Yes,
But
man.
I mean, I was getting nothing before just for speaking up for myself. So I'd encourage anybody who has any else issue, speak up for yourself. And I
Absolutely.
wrote two poems. Well, I've written lots of poems, um, but I'm going to be very quick because I'm not prepared for you guys. Um, one poem is called No One Told Me, because no one told me, basically, that I could still live with purpose and my life could still be a beautiful place. They gave me dementia medication. They told me I need to slow down now and all of this, but no one told me that I could possibly speed up my life with more sunshine, with more joy, with more purpose, less worry, less stress. They didn't tell me that. No, no, no. That's what they told me, but they didn't tell me about the alternative conversation, which is, Ronald, you can still go out there and live your life cautiously, change your diet, maybe sing more, maybe try to laugh more, maybe not spend so many late nights in the recording studio, um, but continue to enjoy your life. So this is the first poem I wrote. The first poem is this. No, this is another poem I wrote. This is up first. This is when I add, because I was speaking for the Alzheimer's Society for about 3 years. I was traveling all over the place with leading people in NHS. It's like a movie, and the chief executive of the Alzheimer's Society. And even in that environment, I was invisible. They just didn't see me, yet they kept on encouraging me to come back, to be on their stages. And I concluded maybe I'm just a token in this conversation. Um, and maybe in reality, I'm invisible. And then they used to take my words, put it in their NHS publications, and I just could not believe how I was still seen as someone who was not capable. So many people with their health concerns I've become more capable now and more in tune with life and more grateful for life since I've had my diagnosis. Um, we need encouragement, yes. Um, and this is one of the poems I wrote. I've lost my way in the conversation, sorry. This is called The Mountains I Still Climb. The mountains I still climb. You come to see me, but you don't see me. We have a conversation, but you don't hear me. And I've been thinking, if you don't hear me, how are you going to know what I'm thinking? Your eyes fixed on me. Sometimes you smile. I always smile. And I wonder if you know why. But if you don't hear me when I'm speaking, how are you going to know what I'm thinking? And if you can't hear me when I'm calling, how are you going to know that I'm falling? And though I no longer dance beneath quiet skies, nor run across open fields, I wonder if you'd believe the mountains I still climb. Thank you. That's the first poem, yes, because I still climb mountains. And then this is another poem, right? Um, and I must say that with all my experiences, I'm not complaining, but the need for us to speak up for ourselves, and the doctor said pushback is important. Um, so important to push back. And I'm glad that the doctor told me about the free, the Jessica something she just said.
Yes, Lord.
Yes.
Yes.
Um, because I'm going to be bringing that to my doctor. Yeah. Um, and this is another poem I wrote when I got diagnosed again. No one told me. Now, Ronald, go and fall in love with the world. No one said, go out there and fall in love with the world again. No voice whispered, it's okay. Ronald, the world is still yours. Go claim it with both hands. Go and turn up the music and volume in your life. They spoke about symptoms, but not of sunlight. They told me what I might lose, but not what I could still embrace. No one told me, fall in love with your life, even now. Fall in love with the moments of so called bad behavior. Fall in love with the art. Fall in love with Ronald. Sorry, I made the mistake. Let me go back to the last verse, right? No one told me, fall in love with your life, even now. Fall in love with the moments of so called bad behavior. Fall in love with the art. Fall in love with the world because it's still beautifully yours. So I had to tell myself, and now I tell others. When the world forgets to say it for yourself. Go and fall in love with life again, again, and again. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Mm.
Ronald.
So,
That was again brilliant and amazing. We have so many people who are giving you positive comments in the chat. Your first poem was described as it says it all for Black people. What else do we have? We've got um, this is beautiful. People are asking, Ronald, how can they get access to your poetry?
um, I mean, I've written a book with a guy called David Trustwell. You should
Okay.
look up David Trustwell.
Yes.
Yeah, David Trustwell. And I think, sorry, I'll be quick here. Many years ago, there used to be something. I don't agree with a lot of the sentiments of hip hop music, but many years ago, nobody would play hip hop music because it was said that to be all the negatives. Yes, but then the music industry took hip hop music and made it into a multi-billion-pound industry. And I think when my book goes out, my book will be a huge bestseller. Nobody wants to publish my book. Yeah. So where you can get my book. My book ain't out at the moment, but I do speak I do have a radio show on something called Deepness Dementia Radio, which I'm gonna start, well, which I've had it for a long time. So I'm just around and about. Ronald Lamans, and you'll find me and you'll see how I've grown over the last, well, there's a lot of information about me on the online,
Yeah.
but um I think you can also have your else concerns. And funny enough, you can get better. You can be more joyful about life when you get support, peer support,
Mm.
and you educate yourself. I've done a lot of educating of myself, a lot of learning.
Mm.
Yeah. So, all to answer your question is every day I feel amazing, full of joy, and my poems are nowhere to be found at the moment.
Okay. Well,
Really.
so
Yeah.
we look forward to you creating a platform where we can access your poetry. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was
Oh, yeah.
really
On my
really good.
website. On my
Oh,
website.
wonderful.
I got
Yeah.
a website. Yeah, it's
Okay.
been there, sitting there for a long time. But I'm gonna update it. And before I go, because I'm gonna go now, um, this is such a beautiful situation. This is so beautiful and important. This show, this platform that I'm just here on now, so significant. So thank you for inviting me, sir.
Again,
Right.
Ronald, we
Yeah.
celebrate you, sir. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for your bravery. Thank you so much for your vulnerability. Thank you for reminding us that dementia isn't a death sentence and it's possible to live life with, I love that, with purpose, even
Yes,
after a diagnosis.
especially when you get the diagnosis early.
Yes,
Yeah. All
yes.
right. Bye.
Thank you so much, Ronald. So again,
Bye bye.
reading some thank you. See you later.
Thank you.
Some of the comments. So thank you for a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Ronald, for putting yourself out there. For the people who were talking about slides, the great thing about the Khan Health Hour is that it's made available on YouTube, so you can go back and watch it at your leisure and pause it if you need to see the slides. I think that's probably the most appropriate thing. And obviously, as you're doing that, one of the things that Dr. Gasper talked about was community. And community is so protective for so many things. We're sharing cat videos or baby meme videos all the time. Why don't we send somebody this video in our community and say, look, I saw a wonderful presentation from a black doctor who's an expert in dementia. Let's have a conversation about it. Well, you know, we're sharing shade room links all the time. Why don't we share some things that will save our life, help our life? Another some more comments. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, Ronald. Dr. Amonia, brilliant talk. You captured so much information and the hope that we have now in science. Your practical tips for navigating health and care are so important. Many thanks for your compassionate, clinical, and powerful advocacy. Yeah, it was. I mean, it was, even as a clinician, it was very informative for me, Dr. Amonia. So I'm really, really grateful for your time. Now, one of the things I think is really important is the practical things that you talked about, and I think it was really, you mentioned about shame and chronic stress. So before we go, Dr. Amonia, I like to ask people in this setting if you could advise everybody to do one thing. Because sometimes when we look at it, it looks like a massive mountain and it can be really challenging. You think, oh, okay, so I've got to eat water and I've got to this and I've got to... If everybody can do one thing, what would be the one thing that you would say, everybody do this? What would be your advice?
My advice or everybody else's?
Your advice. That's
My advice is, I think we all know this. I don't think there's anything specifically I'm saying that is new to anyone, but I would encourage my brothers and sisters as much as possible, be true to yourself. Because very often we know what we should do, but for one reason or another, we're unable to do it. And I know there's lots of factors involved, society, culture, family, all of that. But just take one step, ask yourself, what is it that you know you should do? And then ask yourself, why am I not doing it? And just take one baby step towards that.
Yeah.
Just be joyful. We're not, none of us are going to make it out alive.
Yes. There's a 100% death rate in life.
Exactly. So 100% death rate. So you might as well live it well.
Yes, indeed.
And we know that more people are living with ill health than not in older age. So the healthy life expectancy has dropped massively since we had COVID, and our community are hardest hit.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Dr. Gasper. I mean,
So be joyful, be happy.
If I can piggyback on that, one of the things that I really love about what Khan is doing is we know that we are good at community. We know that.
Yeah.
And I think that the platform that Khan is giving for us to have this conversation, I think is just absolutely fantastic and actually life saving.
Yeah.
One of the things I would encourage, and I think you alluded to it in your talk, Dr. Gasper, is one of the things that we may need to address is we may not be comfortable talking about things that we're not comfortable with, and that can be a source of stress. The things that have happened to us, our health challenges, and how we feel about it. All of these things can be a heavy weight. And if we don't take the time to be honest with ourselves about it, these things can have an impact on our health long term, whether it's blood pressure and all of these, and our sleep. And the problem is all of these things become a vicious cycle. And then in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, we didn't realize that our risk of things like dementia and stroke and heart attack could have been maybe mitigated to some degree by just finding somebody to talk to. This is how I'm really feeling. I am reading a book right now called The Garden Within by Dr. Anita Phillips. Have you heard about it, Dr. Gasper?
Yeah, it's a fantastic book.
Fantastic book.
Yeah.
Fantastic book. So yeah, let's start taking care of each other, because community is protected. So again, once again, from me, Dr. Gasper, your talk today has been absolutely fantastic. I really, I can't want to say thank you so much for your time and expertise. And again, thank you so much, Ronald, for your lived experience and your vulnerability and bravery. And I'm going to hand over. I'm handing over to Stephen. Stephen.
Dr. Ayo, can we just say that thank you especially to Khan, but
Mm,
we're coming into Dementia Action Week, which
okay.
actually starts on Monday,
Okay.
18th to 24th. And it's really just about raising awareness. So meet somebody, say hello, and tell them about Dementia Action Week,
Yeah.
because we have to learn to destigmatize it, especially in our community.
100%.
The
In fact,
awareness without community is just noise.
yes, indeed. I'm going to challenge everybody next week, every day. Put the link up in your WhatsApp status and share the video with somebody every day.
Yeah, let's make some noise together.
100%. 100%. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for everybody who's watching live and watching recorded. Stephen, I'm going to hand over to you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayo. Thank you so much, Dr. Amonia, too. What a great session we've had. One thing in one of the main, purpose of CAN is health literacy. And with the health hour, we're able to express ourselves. And with partners like you, we're able to really, really touch members of our community. And we're grateful as always. Thank you for making this happen. But, Dr. Ayo, we can't thank you enough. You've got a great host. You are. And Dr. Amoni, wow, what a great session. Thank you for that presentation. It was really, really, really informative. Thank you so much. And for our audience, thank you for logging on today. We really appreciate you as always. We appreciate you for taking your time to be part of today's program. Next, and Mr. Roland, your story, wow, was really, really touching. You could see it from the feedback. Thank you, sir. We pray you get stronger, you know, and healthier. Next week is another time, the 23rd of May. This time we'll be talking about diabetes prevention, the type 2 diabetes. This is another really, really, this is a topic that people really need to get to know about. On the day we'll be having Dr. Joan St. John. She'll be telling us all we need to know about the type 2 diabetes. Please invite your friends, your loved ones, your colleagues. Let them join and let's make this more interactive by having more people on the call. Black Health Legacy. We can't overemphasize the importance of research. That we cannot. And for members of our communities, it's very important that we participate in research. This helps make better decision. It influences policy. Just kindly scan the QR code or send a mail to research@can.org.uk. This is an opportunity for you to share your experiences, your views, and ideas. This is not being someone else telling your story, our story. It is us expressing ourselves the way it should, how best it should be told. So please let's participate in this research. Saturday 20th June, the annual Windrush event is coming up, and it will be at the Alexandra Park as always. This year's topic is, we are here because the Windrush generation was there. Let us come experience the best of Caribbean music, fun, arts. It's a free entry. There will be great performances, football competition, children activities. Just bring your loved ones. There will be a whole lot of fun at the Alexandra Park. That's on the 20th of June from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. We can't wait to have you on the day for this year's Windrush event. The Safe Steps project. We members of a black community, it is very important that sexual health is being looked into, talked about in a safe environment. This Safe Steps project brings free sexual health services directly to black Africans, Black Caribbeans, Americans, and a whole lot of other communities. So if you live in Lambeth, Suffolk, and the Lowinshaw area in London, please join us. You can send a mail to team@safesteps.london or call 0710022382 for more information about this project. This is a safe space for you to discuss your sexual health. Wow, the Africa Day is here again. This is where we discuss, we express ourselves. We talk, there are a lot of people in our community that are into businesses, a whole lot. And this is one platform where CAN is bringing Africans together. Let us show what we can do. Let people see our expertise. It will be held on the 28th of May at Maxwell Building, University of Salford, from 10:30 till about 2 or 2:30 on the day. So scan your QR code there, and for stall bookings, you can send a mail to africaday@can.org.uk. We really, really look forward to seeing you there. It's always been a great time when we hold this Africa Day event. So come on, come all. Um, Next slide, please. Han is partnering with Cadence. You know, carbon monoxide is a silent killer. It's not seen, very invincible. But with our partnership with Cadence, we're able to give out over 3,000 carbon monoxide alarms, so that just to create that safe space in our homes. So if you need or help, you need some of these items, you need information about how to get the carbon monoxide alarm, perhaps to give out to other communities too. And in Manchester, through Enfield, kindly reach us on 077 100 22382, or send us a mail at ribc@can.org.uk, and let us see how we can tame this killer, you know, in the air. It's a silent, invisible killer. So next slide, please. The neighborhood summer health check. We describe this as it's like checking on, going for MOT. Let's check our bodies. We are hosting this at the Gotten Hub. That's M188HE. It's a free entry. Everyone is welcome. Come for free blood pressure check, cholesterol, blood sugar, HIV screening, plus advice on our health. It is also a safe space for us, for members of our community to come together for free medical checks. It will be held it's coming up on the 11th of June, um, 2026. For more details, please send a mail to fabiola@can.org.uk. That's FABIOLA@can.org.uk, or call 07586 040 674. This neighborhood summer health check is going to be a great time for us to come together and see what we can do regarding our health checks. Everyone, thank you as always. We look forward to seeing you next Saturday. Invite your friends, your colleagues, and your family members, and let's make it happen again. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Hosted by the Caribbean and that's our time for today. Whether you joined us on Zoom, Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, thank you for making the Health Hour part of your Saturday. We hope today's session gave you the right dose of health wisdom that you can share with your friends and family. When we share knowledge, we strengthen our entire community. Mark your calendar. next Saturday, same time. Got a topic in mind? We want to hear from you at health@can.org.uk. Health Hour, hosted by the Caribbean and African Health Network.